Most people think being rich means buying everything you ever wanted. They imagine wealth as a loud statement made with designer clothes, luxury cars, and expensive vacations. But if you look at the habits of people who have actually built and kept their money, you will notice something different. Many of them choose to act like they have much less than they do. They live in modest houses, drive used cars, and look like everyone else at the grocery store. This isn't because they are cheap. It is because they know the difference between being rich and looking rich. In this video, we are looking at the simple psychology of people who act poor when they are rich, and why this mindset is the key to building wealth that lasts. The first reason people act poor when they are rich is that they understand the difference between an asset and a liability. The average person sees a high income as a way to buy more liabilities, things that take money out of your pocket every month, like car payments or expensive memberships. The wealthy person sees that same income as a tool to buy more assets, things that put money into your pocket, like stocks or rental properties. To them, every dollar spent on a flashy watch is a dollar that cannot be invested to buy back their time. They act poor by keeping their expenses low so they can own more of the world. They would much rather own part of a massive company than own a brand new luxury SUV that loses value every day. This focus on ownership over spending is the foundation of their mindset. They realize that the car in the driveway only gets smaller over time, while the investments in the brokerage account have the potential to grow forever. Another reason is the rejection of social pressure. Most people feel the need to upgrade their life as soon as their neighbors or friends do. They use their spending to show others that they are successful. However, people who are truly wealthy often feel they have nothing to prove. They find security in their bank balance rather than in the approval of strangers. When you already know you are financially independent, the desire to show off disappears. Acting poor is a form of privacy that protects them from the expectations of others. It allows them to move through the world without being a target for sales pitches or social pressure. They realize that true status isn't found in a logo. It is found in the freedom to do what they want with their time. They would rather have $1 million that no one knows about than have $1 million worth of debt that everyone can see. There is also a deep respect for the effort it takes to earn money. Many self-made millionaires remember what it was like to have nothing. They remember the hours of work and the sacrifices they made to get their first $10,000 or $100,000. Because they know the true cost of a dollar, they are less likely to waste it on something that only makes them happy for a few minutes. They don't see a $100 dinner as just $100. They see it as the result of their hard work and a missed chance for that money to grow. Acting poor is a way of respecting their own time. They treat their wealth as something to be managed, not a pile of cash to be spent for fun. This careful approach ensures that they never have to go back to being broke. They view their wealth as a shield that they worked hard to build, and they aren't going to lower that shield just for a moment of luxury. The psychology of acting poor is also a way to stop lifestyle creep. One of the biggest threats to wealth is when your spending rises as your income rises. If you earn more and immediately spend more, you are still living paycheck to paycheck, even if your paychecks are large. People who act poor when they are rich have decided what enough looks like, and they refuse to change that just because they have more money. By living on a small part of their income, they create a large surplus every month. This extra money is what allows them to survive bad economies, invest in new ideas, and build wealth for their families. They understand that if they don't control their spending will eventually control them. They treat their high income like a temporary bonus rather than a new baseline for their lifestyle. There is also a benefit to simplicity. A life filled with expensive things is often a life filled with stress. High-end cars need expensive repairs, large houses need constant cleaning, and luxury goods need to be protected. By choosing to live a simpler life, wealthy people remove a lot of mental clutter. They don't have to worry about scratching an expensive car or keeping up with the latest fashion. This simplicity gives them the space to focus on what matters: their health, their family, and their next project. They act poor because it is easier, more efficient, and less stressful than trying to maintain an expensive image. They have figured out that the most expensive things you buy often end up owning you. A simpler life allows them to focus their energy on building more wealth rather than managing the things they already bought. Acting poor also helps these people stay grounded. Wealth can create a bubble that disconnects people from the real world. By living a modest life, they stay in touch with the value of a dollar and how average people live. This makes them better at business because they still understand their customers. If you only eat at expensive restaurants and fly private, You lose the ability to relate to the people who buy your products. Staying humble in their lifestyle keeps their perspective clear. It prevents the arrogance that often leads to bad financial decisions and the eventual loss of wealth. They want to stay connected to the work ethic that made them rich in the first place, and living simply is a daily reminder of those roots. Acting poor also provides privacy and safety. When you don't look rich, people don't ask you for loans. Family members don't expect you to pay for everything, and you aren't a target for scammers. It allows you to build real friendships based on who you are rather than how much money you have. People who act poor when they are rich value the fact that they can walk into a room and no one knows how much they are worth. This privacy gives them a sense of freedom that flashy people never have. They are not performing for an audience. They are living for themselves. They know that once people know you have money, they start treating you differently. And they prefer the honesty of being seen as just another average person. Building on that, there is a massive psychological value in being unremarkable. When you drive an average car and live in an average house, you blend in. This prevents keeping up with the Joneses from even starting. You aren't part of the competition for the best lawn or the newest SUV because you aren't playing that game. This lack of visibility is a superpower. It allows you to build your wealth in the dark, away from the prying eyes of those who might want a piece of it or those who would judge you for how you spend it. Being unremarkable means you can focus entirely on your internal goals without external noise. You aren't maintaining an image for the public, which means your internal life remains calm and your bank account remains full. Most people who act poor when they are rich built their wealth slowly over a long time. They didn't get lucky. They saved and invested consistently. Because their wealth grew slowly, their habits stayed the same. They never had a moment where they felt they had to go out and spend a lot of money. They just kept doing what worked. To them, acting poor isn't an act. It is just the way they have always lived. They have found a level of comfort that works, and they don't see any reason to change it just because they have more money now. They are more comfortable with their old habits than they would be with a new expensive lifestyle that they didn't grow up with. There is also a strategic side regarding taxes and fees. People who act rich often end up paying more for everything. They pay more in taxes, more in insurance, and more for basic goods that have a luxury label. Those who act poor focus on value. They would rather buy a high-quality item that lasts a long time than a trendy item that doesn't. They are experts at stopping leakage, the small, repeating costs that eat away at your money. By acting poor, they keep more of their money in their investments where it can grow. They know that every dollar saved on an unnecessary expense is a dollar that earns interest. To them, being efficient is much more satisfying than being flashy. Wealthy people who live simply also have a clear, enough benchmark. They know exactly how much money they need to be happy, and once they hit that number, they stop increasing their spending. For many, that benchmark is much lower than people expect. They realize that a $50,000 car doesn't make them twice as happy as a $25,000 car. Once their basic needs and a few comforts are met, more spending actually adds more stress, not more joy. By sticking to their enough number, they ensure that every dollar earned above that amount goes straight into their net worth. This creates a massive gap between their income and their lifestyle, which is the fastest way to build extreme wealth. Finally, the biggest reason people act poor when they are rich is that they have found a better source of happiness. They have realized that the joy of a new purchase lasts for a few days, but the joy of being financially free lasts forever. They get more satisfaction from knowing they can quit their job at any time than they do from wearing an expensive watch. They choose the feeling of security over the appearance of success. They have won the game of money by realizing that the ultimate prize isn't more stuff. It's the ability to wake up every morning and have total control over your time. When you reach that point, acting poor doesn't feel like a sacrifice. It feels like a smart choice to protect the freedom you worked so hard to get. They are living for their own approval, not for the approval of a world that is obsessed with looking rich while staying broke.